To some viewers. A chimp attack back in February ripped off part of a woman's face.
Pets are known to be loyal companions, but in these shocking cases, they turned on their owners in the most horrifying way imaginable. These unbelievable stories of animals attacking and even eating their human owners left witnesses frozen in terror. Just imagine your pet's hungry and angry eyes fix on you, calculating its next move. Faced with that chilling stare, would you fight or flee? Join us as we explore real-life instances when pets turned on their owners, eating them in front of everyone. Hidden Tiger of Harlem. In the heart of Harlem, a jaw-dropping secret was brewing right under everyone's noses. Antoine Yates was your typical neighbor, but he wasn't ordinary. He was harboring a massive Siberian Bengal tiger named Ming inside his small, high-rise apartment, turning an ordinary living space into a shocking wildlife sanctuary. Ming wasn't just any pet. Standing nearly 6 feet tall and weighing hundreds of pounds, this powerful predator roamed freely within the cramped concrete walls, hidden from the world. Antoine's fascination with big cats drove him to make an impossible decision. Keeping a wild animal meant for vast African plains inside a tiny New York City apartment. For months, Ming remained a secret. Neighbors heard occasional strange sounds, but never suspected a tiger was prowling just walks away. Antoine managed this risky living arrangement with a mix of careful planning and pure audacity. He fed Ming carefully, created makeshift spaces, and somehow maintained a bizarre coexistence. The situation dramatically unraveled when Antoine showed up at a hospital with severe arm injuries. Initially claiming a pitbull attack, hospital staff grew suspicious of the deep, precise wounds that screamed large predator rather than a domestic dog. An anonymous tip led police to Antoine's apartment, where they discovered a fully grown, agitated tiger pacing and growling within city walls. The rescue operation became a complex mission. Specialized teams used tranquilizers to subdue Ming safely. Ming was ultimately relocated to an Ohio sanctuary, where she could roam freely in a spacious, natural habitat. Antoine, still in shock, argued he would gladly keep her again if given the chance, highlighting his dangerous obsession. A tiger in an apartment was astonishing, yet even more shocking was the story of a chimpanzee turning against its human family. Chimpanzee Attack. Sandra Herold never saw the attack coming. Travis, her beloved chimpanzee, was more than just a pet. He was family. Raised from infancy, Travis had been her constant companion, especially after her husband Jerome passed away. Travis wasn't an ordinary chimpanzee. He'd appeared in TV commercials, wore clothes, and knew how to use utensils. He could drink from a cup, watch television, and even communicate through gestures. To Sandra, Travis was like a child she'd nursed and loved for years. On that fateful day, Sandra decided to give Travis medication for Lyme disease. Knowing the medicine could make animals irritable, she called her friend Charla Nash for help. Charla brought Travis's favorite Tickle Me Elmo toy, hoping to calm him down. But something snapped inside Travis. Without warning, he lunged at Charla with terrifying speed. His powerful hands and sharp teeth tore into her, causing devastating injuries. In a desperate attempt to save her friend, Sandra tried intervening, even stabbing Travis with a kitchen knife. The chimp's rage was unstoppable. He turned on Sandra, leaving her terrified and helpless. Panicked, she dialed 911, screaming for help. When police arrived, they were forced to shoot Travis to stop his violent rampage. The aftermath was heart-wrenching. Charla Nash required multiple surgeries and eventually a face transplant. The incident shocked the nation, sparking intense debates about keeping wild animals as pets. Travis's story became a stark warning. No matter how domesticated a wild animal might seem, its primal instincts can emerge without warning. Beneath the surface of human connection, an unpredictable predator always lurks. If a chimpanzee could turn on its own family, what deadly risks would someone face deliberately living among wild grizzly bears? Timothy Treadwell's grizzly bear encounter. Timothy Treadwell wasn't an ordinary wildlife enthusiast. For 13 consecutive summers, he broke every rule of wildlife safety by living directly among grizzly bears in Alaska's Katmai National Park. Known as the Grizzly Man, Treadwell believed he had a supernatural connection with these massive predators. He would walk among bears, name them, and film their daily lives, actions that made professional wildlife experts cringe with concern. In 2003, Treadwell took an even greater risk. He brought his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, to experience his dangerous lifestyle. Most bears were preparing for hibernation, which made them more aggressive and desperate for food. Treadwell ignored every warning from park officials. He set up camp near a known bear trail, completely exposed and vulnerable. Park rangers had repeatedly told him that bears aren't cuddly creatures, but fierce survivors with razor-sharp survival instincts. One night, while Treadwell was setting up his camera, a massive grizzly entered their campsite. Driven by hunger and a territorial aggression, the bear attacked without mercy. Treadwell fought desperately to protect Amy, but they were no match for the bear's raw power. When Willie Fulton, an air taxi pilot, arrived to pick them up the next day, he discovered a scene of absolute horror. Their campsite was destroyed, with clear signs of a brutal struggle. Authorities found the remains of both Treadwell and Huguenard. The bear responsible was still nearby, posing a threat to the rescue team, and was eventually shot. A chilling audio recording captured their final moments. Evidence of what happens when humans dangerously underestimate wild predators. Living among bears is undeniably risky, but sometimes the deadliest dangers come from the smallest, most unexpected creatures hiding in our homes. Fatal spider encounter. Mark Vogel was a collector of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. His apartment wasn't a typical living space, but a miniature zoo housing over 200 exotic creatures, from rare beetles to venomous spiders. Among his prized collection was a deadly black widow spider, known for its potent venom that could kill a human within hours. Mark took immense pride in his extensive knowledge of arachnids, believing he could handle any risk. On that fateful day, while carefully handling the black widow, Mark was bitten. At first, he brushed off the incident, confident in his expertise. But black widow venom isn't something to take lightly. Within minutes, his body began to react violently. The venom spread quickly, causing intense muscle cramps and paralyzing his body. Living alone, Mark had no one to call for help. Hours passed, and the spider's toxic bite worked its deadly magic. Neighbors noticed Mark's prolonged absence, but assumed he was away on a research trip. Weeks went by, with only a faint, disturbing smell seeping through the hallway, raising suspicions. When police finally conducted a welfare check, they discovered a horror scene. Mark's lifeless body lay surrounded by his beloved and now starving insects and spiders. Some of his pets had even begun feeding on their deceased owner. The surviving creatures were carefully transferred to a local conservation area. If a tiny spider can be this deadly, imagine the terrifying risks a massive snake could bring to an unsuspecting family. Python tragedy with fatal consequences. Jaron Hare and Charles Darnell thought they knew how to handle exotic pets. Their prized possession was an 8-foot albino Burmese python, a massive snake that would become their family's worst nightmare. Their makeshift enclosure was dangerously inadequate. Instead of a proper, secure cage, they used a quilt and safety pins to contain the powerful predator. It was a recipe for disaster that would cost them everything. One quiet night in 2009, the python made its move. Slipping through the flimsy covering, the snake silently moved through the apartment. Its target was the Darnells' young daughter, Chayana, sleeping peacefully in her bedroom. By morning, a horrifying scene awaited the parents. The python had wrapped itself tightly around their daughter, squeezing the life out of her while she slept. No screams, no struggle, just silent, deadly precision. Emergency services arrived to a parent's worst nightmare. The massive snake, still coiled and unrepentant, was carefully removed from the home. It would later be used in animal control training on its deadly potential. The legal system didn't take this lightly. Jaron and Charles faced serious criminal charges of child neglect and manslaughter. Their 12-year prison sentence would become a warning to other exotic pet owners. This tragic accident was the result of extreme carelessness and a dangerous misunderstanding of wild animal behavior. Snakes aren't cuddly pets, they're predators with instincts that can't be tamed by human love or good intentions. If a python can strike out of nowhere, just think of the chaos a mountain lion could bring to a family bold enough to keep it as a pet. Mountain lion nightmare in Texas. In Texas, owning a mountain lion is technically legal if you follow the strict guidelines. But Amber Michelle Couch didn't think those rules applied to her and ignored every single one. Her mountain lion lived in a tiny, cramped cage that was more like a prison than a home. No proper vaccinations, no health checks, just a wild predator trapped in a space that would make any animal angry and desperate. Friends and family begged Amber to reconsider. They warned her about the dangers, but she brushed off their concerns. "I can handle this," she would say, confident in her ability to control a wild animal built for hunting and survival. One afternoon, her young nephew came to visit. Kids are curious by nature, and he wandered too close to the mountain lion's cage. In a split second, everything changed. The mountain lion, agitated, confined, and wild, lunged through the bars with lightning speed. Its teeth sank deep into the boy's face. The attack was savage and immediate. Screams filled the air as Amber frantically tried to pull her nephew away, but the damage was already done. The boy was rushed to the hospital, facing multiple surgeries to reconstruct his mangled face. His life would never be the same. Local authorities stepped in quickly. The mountain lion was confiscated and ultimately euthanized. Amber faced serious charges of neglect and child endangerment. She was banned from owning exotic pets, a punishment that came far too late to protect her nephew. A mountain lion can turn on a family in an instant, so what kind of deadly surprises can a gentle giant like a Wapiti be hiding? Wapiti Incident in Australia. Pat McDonald was an animal lover with a dream most people would consider crazy. He didn't just want ordinary pets, he wanted something extraordinary. His backyard became home to a collection of exotic animals, including a young wapiti, a massive hybrid of a red deer and an elk. To Pat, the wapiti was more than just an animal. It was a majestic creature he believed he could tame and understand. Alongside his llamas and emus, the wapiti seemed almost like just another unusual pet. But wild animals don't follow human rules. As the wapiti grew, something changed. Its instincts began to surface, turning from a docile creature into a potential killer. One quiet afternoon, everything went wrong. Pat's wife, Mandy, and teenage son, Ethan, were inside the house when they heard a gut-wrenching scream. Racing outside, they discovered a nightmare unfolding. Pat was pinned to the ground, helpless as the massive animal charged at him with brutal force. Each time it trampled over him, he could feel the weight of its sheer power, crushing him under its relentless assault. He struggled to escape, but the animal's strength was overwhelming, and he was trapped beneath it, unable to break free. Hearing the chaos and seeing her husband in danger, Mandy's protective instincts took over. Without hesitation, she rushed into the enclosure, driven by adrenaline and a fierce need to save Pat. With no weapons or plan, she focused solely on protecting him, determined to stop the attack at any cost. But the wapiti's fury wasn't satisfied. It turned on Mandy, knocking her to the ground with brutal force. She grabbed a stick, swinging wildly to protect herself. Their son Ethan sprinted to call for help. By sheer luck, a nearby ambulance officer noticed the commotion and intervened, helping to distract the wapiti until police could arrive and tranquilize the animal. Mandy was airlifted to a trauma center, her body covered in deep cuts and bruises. The incident shattered their family's world in moments. A wapiti can become deadly in an instant, but just how dangerous is the bird known as the world's most dangerous creature? Let us find out. Cassowary Fatality. Marvin Harjos wasn't your average bird enthusiast. He collected exotic birds, like others collect stamps, and his prized possessions included several cassowaries, prehistoric-looking birds that looked like oversized, colorful turkeys. But these weren't ordinary birds. Cassowaries are living dinosaurs, equipped with razor-sharp claws and the ability to sprint at 30 miles per hour. Their legs are like spring-loaded weapons, capable of delivering fatal blows in seconds. Marvin believed his years of experience made him invincible. He strutted around his property, confident in his ability to handle these dangerous creatures. Local wildlife experts warned him, but Marvin's pride was stronger than their caution. One fateful day, while feeding his cassowaries, Marvin stumbled. The sudden movement triggered something primal in the bird. In a split second, the cassowary transformed from a seemingly calm creature to a lightning-fast predator. With shocking speed, the bird leaped into action. Its dagger-like talons slashed through Marvin's skin, swinging devastating wounds. The attack was so swift, so brutal, that Marvin barely had time to react. Somehow, Marvin managed to call 911, but by the time help arrived, the damage was done. The cassowary had turned Marvin's momentary weakness into a fatal opportunity. The local community was stunned. How could a bird kill a seasoned animal handler? But wildlife experts knew the truth. Cassowaries aren't pets. They're wild creatures with instincts honed by millions of years of survival. Marvin's death drives home the point that some animals are meant to be admired from a distance. Not every creature is meant to be a pet, no matter how much we might want to tame them. A bird can shift from calm to deadly in an instant, but what unimaginable horrors could a full-grown bear be capable of? Bear ownership tragedy. Kelly Ann Waltz lived for exotic animals. Her backyard wasn't just a typical suburban space, it was a sanctuary for wild creatures most people would run from. At the center of her collection stood a massive 350-pound black bear kept in a large cage behind her house. To Kelly, the bear was family. Neighbors repeatedly warned her about the dangers, but she dismissed their concerns with a confident smile. "I know this bear," she would say. "He's different." But bears aren't house pets. They're wild animals with unpredictable instincts that can switch from calm to catastrophic in seconds. One ordinary day, while performing her routine of feeding and cleaning the bear's enclosure, without warning, the bear lunged at Kelly. The attack happened in broad daylight, with several witnesses, including children, watching in horror. The bear's massive body moved with terrifying speed and power. Kelly had no chance against the raw strength of a wild predator. Neighbors rushed to call for help, but the attack was swift and merciless. By the time authorities arrived, it was too late. Kelly lay motionless, the bear's brutal attack having claimed her life in moments. The community was left in shock. The bear, deemed too dangerous to survive, was euthanized shortly after the incident. Some creatures are meant to roam free in the wild, not confined in backyard cages or treated like family pets. A bear turning on its owner is terrifying enough, but what hidden dangers are behind the calm and gentle appearance of a massive hippo? Hippo ownership gone wrong. Marius Els was a retired army major with a deep love for wildlife. He had found something special in Humphrey, a baby hippo he'd rescued and raised on his South African farm. Most people know hippos as the most dangerous animals in Africa, but Maurice believed he was different. He built a dam on his property where he and Humphrey would swim together, with the hippo responding to his calls like a giant, loyal dog. As Humphrey grew, so did his size. Weighing nearly 2,500 pounds, the hippo was more like a moving mountain than a pet. An earlier incident where Humphrey attacked Maurice's nephew seemed like a one-time event to the stubborn major. In November 2011, Maurice's confidence would prove fatal. While checking on Humphrey, the hippo, driven by wild instincts, attacked with shocking violence. When Maurice's family found him, the scene was devastating. Deep bite wounds covered his body. Humphrey hadn't eaten Maurice, but the powerful jaws had done their deadly work. This wasn't just an accident. It was a stark reminder that wild animals, no matter how tame they seem, carry millions of years of survival instincts. A hippo isn't a pet. It's a prehistoric predator with the power to kill in seconds. Maurice's story is a reminder that some animals are meant to be admired from afar, not treated like pets. No matter how much love you give, a wild animal's instincts are impossible to tame. If a hippo is this deadly, imagine how much more dangerous a snake could be with its flexibility. Deadly reptile and venomous snake incidents. Alita Stacy wasn't your average animal lover. Her home was a living museum of reptiles, housing over 70 different species that most people would run from in terror. But for Alita, these were more than just animals. They were her life's passion. Among her collection, one snake stood out as the most dangerous: the black mamba. Found in the forests of Africa, this serpent is considered one of the deadliest creatures on the planet. Its venom is so potent that a single bite can kill an adult human in just a few hours. Friends and family begged Alita to be careful. They knew about the black mamba's reputation, how its neurotoxic venom could cause complete respiratory failure within minutes. But Alita was confident. She'd been handling dangerous snakes for years and believed her experience made her invincible. Her reptile room was a carefully constructed world of glass enclosures and precise temperature controls. The black mamba's habitat was supposed to be secure, a fortress that would keep both the snake and the humans safe. But snakes don't follow human rules. One ordinary day, Alita's boyfriend entered the reptile room and found her lying unconscious on the floor. The black mamba had escaped, not through a broken lock or a shattered glass, but through a moment of human error. The snake had struck with deadly precision, sinking its fangs into Alita's forearm. Black mamba venom is a nightmare of biological warfare. It attacks the nervous system with lightning speed, causing paralysis that spreads through the body like a deadly wave. Emergency responders arrived quickly. They administered anti-venom, the one hope of counteracting the snake's toxic bite. But sometimes, in the world of venomous creatures, quick isn't quick enough. The venom had already done its work. By the time Alita reached the hospital, the damage was irreversible. Her body was shutting down, controlled by the snake's deadly neurotoxins. No amount of experience can guarantee safety when dealing with creatures whose entire evolutionary history is built around survival. The black mamba doesn't care about human love or connection. It doesn't understand boundaries or emotions. To the snake, everything is either a threat or potential prey. Each scale and each movement of the snake is a reminder of millions of years of perfected hunting skills. They don't make mistakes. They don't have mercy. They simply exist as nature designed them. Perfect predators. In the end, the snake did what it was born to do. And Alita's story became another chapter in the book about why some wild creatures should never be considered pets. A venomous snake strikes without warning. So what kind of shocking violence might a seemingly loyal family dog be capable of? Pitbull's unexpected aggression. Brenda and Ishmael Guerrero believed in second chances. When they adopted Scarface, a pit bull with a troubled past, they saw hope where others saw danger. They wanted to provide a loving home for a dog that had known only hardship. For months, Scarface seemed to be healing. He became part of their family, playing with their son and receiving endless love and care. The Guerreros thought they had successfully rehabilitated a dog that others had given up on. One ordinary day, everything changed. Brenda decided to put a sweater on Scarface, thinking it would keep him warm and comfortable. But something inside the dog snapped. Without warning, Scarface lunged at Brenda, his teeth sinking into her arm with shocking force. Her screams brought Ishmael rushing to help, but the dog's rage wasn't satisfied. Scarface turned on him with even more intensity. Their son watched in horror, desperate to save his parents. Grabbing a kitchen knife, he tried to fend off the dog, but Scarface seemed unstoppable. The once loving pet had transformed into a terrifying predator. Neighbors called emergency services. When help arrived, they found a scene of chaos. Even a taser couldn't stop Scarface's rampage. Only a tranquilizer finally brought the dog under control. Brenda required extensive medical treatment. Scarface was euthanized due to his uncontrollable aggression, but it gets even more interesting. Wait till you find out how much damage an angry monkey can cause. Monkey rage in Malaysia. Nga Muhammad was no ordinary farmer. He was a 72-year-old who had developed an extraordinary bond with his pet monkey, a connection that went beyond typical human-animal relationships. Together, they worked in the palm tree groves of rural Malaysia, a team perfectly synchronized in collecting coconuts. Every day followed the same routine. Naga would climb the tall palm trees and his monkey companion would fetch coconuts from the ground. They worked in harmony, a partnership built on years of trust and understanding. On this particular morning, nothing seemed different. The sun rose over the palm grove, casting long shadows as Naga and his monkey began their daily harvest. The monkey moved with practiced precision, collecting fallen coconuts with remarkable skill. But something changed in an instant. Without any warning, the monkey's demeanor transformed. Its eyes hardened, and suddenly it lunged at Naga with incredible force. The bite was savage, severing an artery in Naga's arm. Blood began to pour, and Naga, weakened by age, couldn't stop the bleeding. His son Mood, sensing something was wrong, came searching. He found a horrifying scene. His father lying in a pool of blood, the monkey still nearby and bristling with aggression. The monkey even turned its rage toward Mood, who managed to escape and call for help. Authorities carefully captured the aggressive animal, ultimately deciding to rehabilitate and release it back into the wild. If a monkey can go from being a trusted companion to a sudden attacker, what kind of deadly surprises could a massive wildebeest spring up? Wildebeest tragedy down under. Dick Radant was an animal lover with an unusual dream. His property wasn't a typical farm. It was a sanctuary for exotic creatures. Alongside llamas and emus, he had adopted a young wildebeest, believing he could tame this wild plains animal. Most people would see a wildebeest as a dangerous, unpredictable creature. Klaus saw a potential pet. He treated the animal almost like an oversized cow, confident in his abilities as an animal handler. As the wildebeest grew, its natural instincts began to surface, especially during mating season. The animal became more aggressive and more territorial. Friends warned Klaus about the dangers, but he brushed off their concerns. In 2004, those warnings would prove tragically prophetic. One day, while checking on his animals, Klaus encountered the wildebeest in a different mood. The animal's entire demeanor had changed. With shocking speed, the wildebeest charged. Its powerful horns became weapons, striking Klaus repeatedly. The attack was brutal and swift, the raw power of a wild animal unleashed in full force. Hours passed before his wife discovered him. Klaus lay motionless on the ground, severely injured by multiple impacts from the wildebeest's massive body. By the time help arrived, it was too late. The wildebeest had proven that no amount of human care can erase millions of years of wild instincts. If a wildebeest can shift from a calm creature to a lethal predator, a monitor lizard hides its own horrifying capabilities beneath its calm exterior. Monitor Lizard Fatal Encounter. Ronald Huff was a dedicated reptile enthusiast. He kept several large monitor lizards in his small Delaware apartment, creatures most people would run from in terror. Monitor lizards aren't cute pets. They're powerful carnivorous reptiles that can grow up to 8 feet long, with sharp claws and aggressive instincts. But Ronald saw them differently. To him, they were fascinating creatures waiting to be understood. Friends and family warned Ronald about the dangers. They saw the potential for disaster, but Ronald's confidence never wavered. He believed his knowledge could control these wild predators. Days passed without anyone hearing from Ronald. When neighbors finally requested a welfare check, they discovered a nightmare scenario. Ronald lay lifeless on the floor, surrounded by his monitor lizards. The most chilling detail was the lizards had begun feeding on their owner's body. Experts suspected Ronald might have died suddenly from an unexpected medical emergency, but the lizards, driven by hunger and pure survival instinct, saw no difference between their owner and potential prey. This wasn't just an accident. It was a brutal demonstration of how quickly wild animals can switch from passive to predatory. Monitor lizards aren't pets. They're wild creatures with millions of years of hunting instincts. Ronald's tragic end became a stark warning. Some animals are meant to be observed from a distance, not kept in cramped apartments or treated like domesticated companions. Nature has its own rules, and those rules can be devastatingly unforgiving. Monkey attack in Uttar Pradesh claims life of elderly man. In a shocking incident in Uttar Pradesh, India, 72-year-old Dharampal Singh was attacked and killed by a group of monkeys. On Thursday, Singh was gathering dry wood for a religious fire ritual when the monkeys, armed with bricks, began hurling them at him from trees. The bricks struck Singh in the head and chest, causing serious injuries. Although he was rushed to the hospital, he sadly passed away from his injuries. The monkeys involved in the attack had taken the bricks from an old abandoned building nearby. In Tikri village, where this happened, monkeys are a well-known problem. Local people say they make life difficult by stealing food, breaking into cars, and even attacking people, especially in groups. In Delhi, there are about 30,000 monkeys causing trouble. These aggressive monkeys are mostly rhesus macaques, a species that has become notorious for its disruptive behavior. The incident has led to anger among Singh's family. They filed a complaint with the police, but the situation is complicated because monkeys are a protected species in India. The police have said they cannot do much, as taking action against the monkeys would be difficult. The police have called Singh's death an accident and dismissed the idea of taking legal action against the animals. To try to control the monkeys, some locals use langurs, another type of monkey, which are known to scare away rhesus macaques. However, using langurs is now illegal in India, and those who do so risk jail time. Despite this, some still continue to use langurs to control the monkey problem. Singh's family is not satisfied with the police response and is reaching out to higher authorities, hoping for justice. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.